this is my last video of 2025, and it's quite fitting, really, because I've been closing connections, setting boundaries with many people in my life, nearly everyone, realistically. And going into 2026, uh, I'm becoming, I have little interest in interacting with people. So I'm becoming a bit more distant in my own personal life, and that will be likely reflected even um, in public domain. I know the way I am can come across as arrogant. I would say sometimes, maybe often, but it's a way. It depends on the way people perceive things. You know what angle you're at. I don't dim myself. I don't play things small. The reality is, with the average person, like most people in my life, I'm 10 steps ahead. And again, I'm not trying to posture above anyone when I say that. It's just I've already foreseen the steps to life, the things people are going through, even the conversations. So even if there's someone's in the, like mid sentence, I'm already like I can see the outcome. I already know how that's playing out, and it makes interactions pointless to a degree because we're just going around in circles. A lot of time, people seek validation. So you may have a conversation with someone, and they get defensive. So they want to justify and explain themselves, which is a natural emotion. But the trouble is, people do get emotional when they speak. So that emotion can subvert a conversation. It can deviate a narrative. Because what a lot of people want to do, they want to influence other people. They want to. A lot of time they want to dominate them. So if you're having even a debate, it doesn't even have to be a debate, but it can be a conversation where you're influencing someone. You know, maybe you have it's an opinion. So maybe someone wants to spread their opinion, share it with you. You don't agree, and then they become emotional with that opinion. So they get animated. They get more vocal. Their vocal range changes. They get louder. So really, what it means is that they're taking it personal. So unless you agree with them, they're going to be really offended, and they're not going to make peace with it. Even though, really, does it really matter what someone thinks? And that's what I'm saying. So I could go into a conversation with someone in already knowing that as soon as they feel offended, they feel maybe you're not agreeing with them. They're going to get their vocals are going to increase. They're going to get more animated. They're going to get incredibly emotional. So effectively, they're getting unhinged while you're staying as cool as a cucumber. Like it's not personal. This is my opinion. It's going to take an awful lot for me to change my opinion because I've already thought of all the outcomes before I come to said opinion, before I even instigated the conversation. And I understand where you're coming from because I understand you're at an emotional stage of your life. So when you're at an emotional stage of your life and you have a lot of growing evolution to go through and healing, you're not going to understand the deeper reasons as to why you're feeling this way and the fact that you can't understand that other people will walk away. So there's so many aspects, and I would already be understanding where they're at. So, like for me to be in a conversation with someone who's going to get incredibly emotional every time you talk, it's like, I don't really need that. I'm all right. I'm all right. Like so all the videos I do, all the content I create, and the situations in my life, it's like I really don't care. I don't care if people agree with me or not, and that's where I'm at. So I'm at a far further development because I'm not emotional about it, and I don't take it personal. I really just don't care. So I don't need people to agree with me. I'm okay with people being offended. I'm okay with myself being offended in a way that it doesn't affect me. So if someone has a different opinion to me, okay, I don't need to convince someone. I don't need to go the extra mile to turn you into a minion of me. I don't need that. Why would I want that? Likewise, I don't need someone to turn to do that to me. So a lot of conversations just become a bit mute. Like, what's the point? I know it simplifies things quite heavily, but that's where I'm at, you know? So I have personal situations in my life where I've already processed the hurt, the betrayals, the frustrations. I've already foreseen the future. If you continue down this path, Allow these people to stay in your life who had no value. They just drain and take. They exploit and they take you for granted. You show little value to yourself, but it maintains a status quo and it validates to them their lifestyle. And maybe it suits someone else, but it doesn't serve me. So I'm done, you know. So I'm like, I don't care if it's people take it personal. It's like I'm done. I've given people enough time in my life to really be there when you need them, even if you haven't maybe mentioned that you need them. If people care, they see. And too many people have found comfort in watching me struggle, and that's fine. You can still find that comfort in watching me struggle, but you're not going to be in my life anymore. So the reality is, again, we go around in conversation. Someone may come to me and say, "Well, what's the issue?" I can't be bothered to discuss the issue anymore. I've already spent a lot of time in my personal space processing those issues. I could explain it. They'll get defensive. They'll explain as to why they didn't realize, or I should have done better. It's like all these things. It's like I'm so far gone from that stage that we're literally done. So when you talk about like family members, I live far away from all my family. The only reason I travel close is to spend time with my mum. So my mum is the one I'm interested in spending time with. If I was to bump into anyone else in the company of my mum, they really should understand that this isn't about them. That's just about my connection to her. Because if I weren't traveling to see her, I wouldn't see anyone. And I think people should be a little bit more aware of that. Because sometimes I think people just misinterpret and they seem to think, oh, look, we can spend time. We can't spend time together because I didn't travel here for you. I traveled here for her. And when she's not here anymore, we won't see each other anymore. But that's where I'm at. I'm not looking for do-overs. I'm not looking to repair this situation. People in my life have had long enough. Again, I know this becomes self-serving, but people have to understand that I've spent so much time on my own, every day processing everything I've been through. Of course, I don't sit there and dwell all the time. That's quite a negative response to situations. But it's really important that we heal. It's important that we self-reflect. And that's what I've been doing for a very long period. So once you get past certain stages of that healing journey, you do start to, I wouldn't say, well, you could argue it's judging people, but it's assessing. And then you start monitoring people just a little bit closely, but you don't say it, you just monitor them. And maybe a situation comes up in your life. It's not planned. It's not like you're trying to do anything nefariously. You're not trying to be manipulative, but a situation comes up where people, if they genuinely care, they would support. You haven't asked for that support. It's just quite apparent. You could do with some support. And then people, again, feel comfortable watching you struggle. So for me, that just shows me their character. I've had time to see you now. I was already aware. I was becoming aware. You've now shown me with absolute clarity that I can't trust you. I don't see why I should invest any more time because people will only invest in you for the most part. The average person will only invest in you when they have something to gain. And once you realize that, you do start, you are awake, you know. And even in workplaces, for instance, I've learned that the hard way. You might become, I think with workplaces, for instance, I think people become they treat it like it's a school playground. So you can become, your colleagues become your friends, even though in many cases they're not really your friends, they're your colleagues. And I think it's really important to just discern that at that. I think have that boundary in your life. So now going into traditional jobs in workplaces, I'm not going to be as open with people about my private life. They don't need to know. It can be mysterious, treated however they want. You know, if you're dating or not dating, it's none of their business. What you're doing at the weekend, none of their business. If simple as it is or more extravagant as it is, it really doesn't make a difference in people's life what I'm doing with mine. And that's how I'll be. So people can perceive that in whatever way they want, can't they? But all it becomes is a gossip conversation, doesn't it? And then people form an opinion of you based on the things you're doing, even though really it has nothing to do with them. And in most cases, they wouldn't understand how you got to that decision anyway. You know? So I'm not dating anymore. Like I've made it very clear in my videos. I'm not interested. I've been hurt enough in my life. And I recognize it would take someone quite incredible to align with my values and the way I live. And I'm not prepared anymore, to be totally honest. At 42 years old, I think you draw a line somewhere in our lifetime, don't we? Where we say, look, this is about me now. Like, I can't be doing this anymore. I don't want drama. I don't want toxic connections. Most people in my life have just shown me toxicity. They've shown me not only betrayal, they just, even on a lesser scale, they've just let me down. It hasn't been good enough. So why would I invest in so much healing for myself and then see the world in such a way and then allow someone to come in and take advantage of me? Because when you've got a good nature, people take advantage of that, don't they? And then it sets you back time and time again. Because we're like, the loss of love is a hard thing to cope with. The betrayals are, aren't they? It's personal. I don't need that drama. I don't need the aggravation. So of course you go into a workplace and maybe because you're not in a relationship, or it transpires you haven't been in a relationship for a while, it can be a point of ridicule. I don't really care if someone finds that a source of entertainment. I find that quite morbid and sick, but that's the way I process things, and that's how I perceive it. I don't see how someone's struggles is something to laugh at, personally. But I think that just shows my maturity compared to idiots. And again, some people, their whole aspect of life is focused on the connection with others, especially physical intimacy. So maybe the fact that you're not in a relationship or you're not having physical moments with people, that could be a source of it could be a bit jarring for some people, can't it? Because their whole life is built upon that. So if that doesn't interest you, almost like what's the point of life? Because they've attached so much depth to that connection, And it's so shallow though. The level is very shallow. So I recognize the average person lives a very shallow and basic life where they can't even get beyond the initial perceptions of what they do every day, let alone go into a deep, meaningful conversation. So like I said at the beginning, I'm not trying to be above people. It's just I've already 10 steps ahead of most people. Even if I always thought about this, like developing the podcast in future and having it'd be good to have debate with people, conversations, very intelligent people with, I wouldn't say status, but people who are educated to a level, they don't have to be formal education, but, they intelligent people on topics. That'd be fun. Because it's not in a way where you're trying, I'm not interested in arguing with people. I've done that my whole life. I don't need that anymore. So if I'm opposite someone, this is the thing, this is why I can't be bothered with people anymore, like in general. I can't see myself doing those debates because people always want to win. It's like, I don't care about winning though. And that's not from a loser point of view. I just don't care about winning. That's not the whole point. That's not the point of what I do. I find it interesting to hear an intellectual point of view that's either the same as me or alternate to me or in the middle. It's just interesting to have conversations on deep topics. It's not about me influencing someone else and taking over the conversation and saying, must agree with me until others I'm going to. I don't need to do that. I'm confident enough in my own convictions and thoughts. But then I don't need someone who takes it so personal or gets emotional or animated or, they just try and be overbearing and try to dominate someone. So I don't need a conversation with someone like that. I don't want a conversation to turn into a debate because that's not what a conversation is to me. That is someone trying to influence and subvert your opinion. They're trying to freaking dominate, and I don't like that. So I can't help but think, how is that productive? So as cool as it would be to have really deep conversations with established people, how many people are literally emotionally developed enough to be able to handle said conversation, And it's like, for me, I don't see it. So I just think going into 2026, my plan for the year is very more in the background. I don't feel a need to justify myself. I don't need to feel a need to compete with anyone. I'm literally just beating to my own drum. I'm just chilling. I'm just getting on with my life, Finance, I've talked about finance. It's been hard for a long time. I've put so much of my life on hold to a degree to do what I've done with the videos I do, with the books I do, with all the creative pursuits. But my finances have took a hammering as a consequence. And I'm no longer prepared to sacrifice to that depth anymore. So I'm going to go back in traditional work. I've got a background in warehousing, logistics, forklifts, all sorts of things. And I can do that, and I can get a decent income that will give me a better basic quality of life. And I can have holidays, and I can just do things and just live my life, That's my plan going into 2026. Maybe I do more books, maybe I don't. The plan is still to release multiple books next year to make up for the ones I didn't do this year because I was focusing so heavily on writing. I mean, doing the videos. But it might be that I just settle into more of a simpler life, you know? Sometimes I think about just delisting all my books and just remove them. Like, they're not getting bought at the moment anyway. So I'm thinking, I'm getting a bit tired of giving to the world and never receiving anything, even any appreciation or respect, you know? So I put an awful lot of myself out to the world in the hope that it helps people, ultimately. So if people ever think I do things for attention or anything, they're going to find that completely goes against reality. Because when I'm no longer in the public domain, people can reflect and think, wait a minute, if he was doing it for attention, why has he stopped? It's not giving up. It's adapting and altering my path. If I feel I'm helping people, I'll invest more into it. If I feel like I'm not, then I focus on what I want. Well, what do I want for my life? Well, I'm more happy just to live in peace. I'm more happy to just live in my own company and just get on and do what I want to do from a day-to-day basis. On my basic needs, yeah, I want my bills being able to take care of without worrying all the time. I want to be able to have nice things every now and again. I want to be able to indulge in a holiday. I want to be able to enjoy nice food. You know, I just want something reasonable for me now. You know, I forgo a lot of that to try to help people, even though it might not come across that way. So because hasn't been appreciated, hasn't even been noticed, it's just, what's the point of me continuing to sacrifice? I'm not saying people owe me anything, but it's an adaptation of what my expectations, and it's just saying, okay, I'm taking, if people want to genuinely know what I want, I've just said what I want. So what am I going to do going into 2026? I'm going to go and pursue that. I'm going to go and pursue that. And none of that includes me being in the spotlight. So if people thought I was doing things for attention, it's like, clearly I'm not. Each to their own, you know. And like I say, I see the way I see conversations a lot of time. It just becomes debate and trying to influence. Sometimes people want validation for their life as well. Always baffles me, to be totally honest. It's just that they'll say something and all they're looking for is the reaction to validate that it's okay what they just did, even if something they did is spiteful, vindictive, it's narcissistic, you know. Self-sabotage. It's always like that. Usually there's negative connotations that people want validation. It was okay. It was the right thing to do. People don't need to be seeking validation from other people. You know in your heart whether something was good or bad, you know, whether it's something you should have done or shouldn't do, or something you could have done more to. And it's just seeking the answer from other people all the time. It's just sad. So I reflect a lot on myself. So again, I don't understand it can come across as arrogant in a way because you're leaning so heavily on yourself that maybe you're not listening to other people. It's not a case I don't listen to other people. I witness other people. So I monitor actions and I've been processing for a long time and I'm quite intelligent. So I do see things a million miles ahead of the average person for sure. And it goes full circle to the no comments on my videos where I said no comments because I don't read comments. I don't contribute to comments on other people's content. And what I would say to that before, I know people are going to get bent out of shape about that, and I get it. You know, some people think, oh, you can't take criticism. So I'm not interested in it. I'm just not interested in it. From a productive point of view, I don't need it. I've already processed everything. Yeah, maybe there'll be one comment out of maybe 500 that actually have sense. The other comments are just people just venting. You know, I don't need that shit. I don't need to sit there and watch people just vent for no reason when they haven't even considered everything. Because people are reactive. By nature, people are reactive. What he said about the emotional state. That's how people are. In the first 60 seconds of a video, people would naturally comment. They haven't even considered the rest of the content. They formed an opinion, got their backs up, and just gone into comment. So I don't need to take. Why am I listening to that? You know, it's just pointless to me. And the reason I say that is, I see so many other videos all over social media, all over YouTube. Go through the comment sections of people's, just to understand this is where I'm up to. So it's not a case of I'm scared of opinions. I just don't care for the most part. Because if you go through comments, just any video, and look how productive they are. For good and bad, look how productive they are. Even a good comment, for the most part, doesn't add anything to the conversation. It just doesn't add anything. It might be someone agrees. So they say, oh yeah, I agree with this, and they don't go into depth, but they just say something. Okay, it's supportive. I don't really need it. I don't need that really. It doesn't add anything. Just look at the. That's all I'm saying. The level of detail. How much does it add to a conversation? It does. It rarely does it. Someone might do a comment that's a bit more in depth, and you go, "Yeah, I like that," or they've got a twist on something. It adds to a narrative. I love it, but it's rare. And then when you go negative, it's usually someone that's been spiteful, they've been vindictive. They go too far, and it's usually emotional rather than intelligent. And it's usually trying to knock people down, so it's spiteful. So as you just when you so just go and check some videos out, random videos, and check comment sections, and just it's not about whether something was good or bad comment. It's how much does any of these comments add to the value of the content that was created. And that's my problem with comments. But it's been societally accepted that comments should be enabled. People should be able to vent their opinion, and that then adds to the conversation. But rarely does it add to the conversation. It's just people venting for no reason. It doesn't matter on what spectrum they are on emotional, personal development. It doesn't matter. It's just everyone's considered the same, and it's just allowed to just the same depth of opinion, even though there's nothing to like quantify whether their opinion is accurate. It might be someone who's just got freaking Christmas trees all over their bloody profile. All their content is about Christmas trees. And then they're commenting on something that's deeply introspective and personal. And maybe they put something negative that just puts a spin on it. And it's just, maybe they're going through a dark place in their life, or they feel attacked, or they don't feel very valued about themselves. They decide to attack other people. And some people would like to typecast people. So they're very sexist. So let's say they support one gender and you're the opposite gender. Everyone of the opposite gender is an enemy. It doesn't matter what you say or what your experience is. They're going to come and attack because that's how they feel. Again, how does that add anything? And it's like, I've already established in my personal life, I'm fed up with most people in my life. So what the hell do I give a shit about someone who's only going to talk through a freaking text? That's all the comment section is. And that's why I always say, everybody has free passage. You can create content like I do. Someone feels they've got a topic they want to talk about, put yourself front and center in front of a camera and actually have a deep, introspective dialogue and explain your views. Don't do it over 2 or 3 sentences and feel like you've achieved something. No. That's weak. Put yourself in front of the camera and actually talk about what it is you've got to say. And if you can't string more than 3 sentences together, then what you say has no weight and it's not even worth hearing. And unfortunately, that is what most comment sections are. So why the hell would I give a shit about a comment section? And that's where I'm up to. So again, if I'm like that in my personal life, what the hell do I give a shit about a comment section? It's like, I don't care. So how I come across, that means nothing to me. I'm not looking for popularity contests. Me personally, being honest, I'm fed up with the world. I feel like a big part of my life is to try to help repair it, but I get exhausted with it personally. Because sometimes I think it can't be saved. It's an absolute mess. We've got people in positions of power and prominence, leadership, who have no reason for being there. They literally they got no leadership skills. So how the hell are these people considered leaders? Then we've got influencers who have no self-respect, no common decency. And they have the audacity to feel people should be investing in them. They should put them on a pedestal and they should mirror their activities. It's like, why on earth would we go to that? Why would we want to mirror that? So then why the hell are people following them? Why are people investing in them when they're the example of everything that's wrong in society? So it's like everywhere you look, it's corrupt or inadequate. And I get tired of it, personally. I do. I get really tired. Like even social media. I've talked about it so many times. People copy all the time. I'm original. I don't copy anyone. If I have a thought that comes into my head, that's what I talk about. It's not influenced by a third party or outside things. It's just literally me. So I get tired of the fact that I can go on social media and I could see someone talk about something they've heard from 20 other people and 20 people will hear from them, their same content, because they're all just mirroring each other. There's no originality. So a lot of the channels are built on the fact they just copy other people. So if other people didn't create content, them channels would literally stop. But because there's so many that just it's like dominoes. Because there's so many that copy each other, There might be one has an original thought, they all copy it. Someone else has an original thought, they'll all copy it. So they just keep their channels going because they're all just copying each other. It's actually outrageous. Then you'll see content where people just put text on a post. It'll just be a text written across the top thing. You might think, oh, that's deep. But then weirdly enough, you like that, and then you'll see about 1,000 more of exactly the same thing. Where's the originality in it? And that's where I'm fed up with society. Is I wish people just be themselves. And this is a world where people just aren't. They're not transparent. They're not open. They're not honest. And you're supposed to have deep, meaningful conversations with these people? The average person's deeply flawed, and they haven't even took the time to invest in healing themselves. So why the hell do I have a deep conversation with that person? They're only going to get emotional. They're only going to start venting and start getting louder, and then they can't even control they just can't control their emotions, you know? So you'll be having a conversation with someone where you're just being frank and honest. I'm not taking it personal either way. I'm chill. And you get someone that's just getting animated, perhaps even trying to get violent. It's like, bloody hell, calm down, mate. If your emotions are controlling you now, so it's like, as soon as your emotions are controlling you, there's a problem. So you have to be emotionally grounded. You have to be centered. I'm not saying I'm never emotional and I don't get annoyed. Of course I get emotional in my private life and things. But I don't really get emotional. I don't really see the point of me communicating with someone when I'm deeply emotional. If I'm going to be like that, then what's the point? I might as well process first and then I can talk to people. Otherwise, yeah, it just ends up a nightmare. Well, why would we want that? Like I say, most people in my life have just shown me disappointment, and I think it's important that eventually we listen. You take notice. So people may have a narrative of me. There'd be people who have a story of this, even though, it's completely inflated, however they want. Right? But my point there is people always skew a narrative when they're talking about you. So I don't really care what people have to say about me. And I don't care what sort of view they have on how something transpired, because they're the ones with the goggle over their eyes. I've been watching and watching and watching. I've got family members who I relocated a long time ago. It was an opportunity to move from a flat to a house. No one's come to visit. Okay, it's a distance, but funny, I can do that distance for my daughter regularly in the holidays, back and forth, and I even when it's not the holidays, and I'll go back and forth to see my mum. It's a distance, yeah, but I can do it. So some people could do it once in a while, but they don't. And even if I visit my mum, they rarely visit when I'm there anyway, which is good for me nowadays because I don't want to see anyone. But the point is, no one's made an effort all this time. Anyway, yeah. And out of everybody in my family, I'm the one that lives alone. Just add that to it. And I have the trauma of separation from my daughter. Because I'm strong and resilient, I don't know, people just treat me different. But I still carry the same traumas that other people carry. It's not easy to adapt your life when you had what you'd consider, it's not the perfect life, but you had the life you wanted. Me, I always wanted a family. So I was content. Yeah, things weren't always perfect in the relationship when I was with my ex-partner, but overall, that was the life I wanted. It was the family. I had a family. So I enjoyed the days out together. I enjoyed the little things, Waking up, my daughter's there. Going to sleep, my daughter's there. Picking her up from school. All the little things. You have to adapt your life eventually. You can't just stay wallowing in what you don't have. So I have to make peace now. She's 15. So 16 next year. 16 in maybe 5 months. So life moves on now, doesn't it? We have to adapt. You can't rewind time. You can't get that back. So yeah, I've hardened as a result, but it was important that I did. And, so ultimately, yeah, I miss a lot. I've suffered my trauma just like everybody else suffers their trauma. But the reality is, do we want to repeat chapters? Do I want that situation to transpire again? No, I don't. So it's easy to think when you meet someone that's going to be the love of your life. I thought that last time. Become my worst nightmare. Gave me the most beautiful gift in my daughter, but gave me a nightmare after too. And it wasn't always peaceful throughout either. So, you give a lot. What do you get in return? Very little. If anything, you get disrespect. And I'm someone who has integrity. I'm someone that's very honest and open. I don't play silly shits. Why would I? I don't see the point. But a lot of people are nefarious. They are vindictive and calculating. And they find that I closed the book on that. Me and my ex-partner haven't argued in ages. We used to argue a lot. But I blocked her. So it's been peaceful since I blocked her. Because I recognised my daughter was getting older to the point where she can mediate here. All I need to know is when am I having her in holidays? When are we supposed to? What dates we having? When are they traveling? Um, they've got a stupid travel arrangements. Believe me, it doesn't favour me at all. It doesn't favour our daughter. They live up north. I'm in the middle, and we're in the south of the UK. So just to understand that, we was in the south of the UK. They relocated up north. There was a whole court thing we went through after because they did it underhanded, and it went on for so long that it was very marginal where she stays. My daughter, to believe that. I've done it in my books. So life could have been completely different had she stayed home with me. But I do recognise that, she's had a lot of life lessons in it. Although tragic and traumatic, it's built her to who she is today. Sometimes you go through things you don't have to, sometimes you just got to make peace with that's the way life was. So I moved. It wasn't because they're closer, but to get closer, it was because either way it was a journey. It was just there was an opportunity to move from a flat to a house. And it ended up halfway between where we all come from and where they are. Still a vast distance, but they travel all the way to our hometown. So it'd be easy if I went to them and they come to me, and we can just split it's closer, it's the hassle, half the journey for each. Because her mum wants to see her family, that's all it's about. It's all it's ever been. I'll go deep into all this, but just show my life before we wrap up. Really, she'll travel all the way down, and and that's for her, not for our daughter. So I have to travel down. It's about the same distance anyway. But the point is, I am the one that has to keep double journeying. If she did the journey to me, I wouldn't have to do so much, and that's fair. Like I'll do half the journey, you do half the journey. But no, because they travel there, so I have to travel all the way, and then drive back to my home with my daughter. Then I have to drive all the way, and then drive back home again. And it's a round trip, 2 hours each way. So just to have my daughter home, for instance, I have to do 4 hours journey, and then I've got to do 4 hours again to take her home, because 2 hours to take her back, and then I've got to drive myself home alone. But some people might just think that's fine. I don't see why it is, because my daughter has to do about 4 hours on. I'm not going to say how she gets where she goes, but she'll do 4 hours and then 2 hours with me. So she has to do 6 hours to get to my home, and then 6 hours to get home. When she could be home she could do it in 2 hours. Even though I have to double back, she wouldn't. So she could do it in 2 hours to my home and then 2 hours to her home. That's all she'd have to put up with. Instead, she has to do 6 hours and then 6 hours. That makes sense. Not sure how we got to all that. I'm just trying to show the chaos that is my life. I'm sure there were some deeper reasons to the context of that, but yeah, people can be underhanded. Oh yeah, I was going to say about that. But so with all that in mind, my daughter's getting older. She's in high school, so I'm of the notion me and her mum don't need to talk anymore. You can just tell me the dates and times. I still don't know anything, even for Christmas now. I don't even know the time. I know a rough date. They never confirmed it, and I don't even know the time. So I'm not running around anymore. As I get older, I'm not running around. I don't make my daughter suffer, but at the same time, I'm not going to just jump anymore. So if someone tells me and it's the same day and expect me just to travel 2 hours immediately, it's not happening. It'll be like, if I'm available, I will. If I'm doing something, it's just going to have to wait a little bit because I'm not jumping like this. This is ridiculous. I've had problems in workplaces, believe me, where I've had to stand my ground with management, even though it's situations I shouldn't be in, all because my ex-partner is so unorganized. It's ridiculous. Like I could say, when are you traveling? Just so I know roughly. We would have so many arguments before I just blocked her in the end. Because I know I'd have to go to my boss and say, I need holiday and it's in a couple of days and I need it for 2 weeks. And they'll be like, well, you need to give a minimum of 2 weeks notice or a week's notice. And we've got people off here, there. Well, I can never give you that because I don't operate like that. That's not the thing. That's not the hand I'm being dealt. See what I mean? So people do play manipulative control over your life in the fact that she knew what she was doing and she's just so disorganized that there's no accountability. So now I just leave my daughter to deal with just let me know what you know. And then we deal with it. And it's been simpler since. But look, as evolved as I am, I think if it weren't for my daughter doing the bouncing between there, which is so minimal, all she has to do is ask her mum when and then it's relay it to me. Let's not make silly shits. If it weren't for her, we'd probably have had loads of arguments still because she's always tries to goad me into situations, and she likes to present herself as the one who knows everything, but she knows sod all. To be totally honest, it's like dealing with a deranged monkey. In all honesty, I don't want to be rude, but it's like again, that's how I come. I don't care how I come across. When it comes to her, like the levels of intelligence is just unmatched, and it's just ridiculous. But because they see what I do and they know how I am, they want to compete all the time, and it just drives me nuts because they usually repeat back what I've said to come across intelligent. So they're trying to educate me on what I'm already saying, which is really deluded. It's really stupid, isn't it? Like, and that's the level of conversation I have to have. And it ends up a massive argument all the time. So we don't have those arguments anymore because they can't communicate with me, just much like most people can't. So I think the thing is, people expect to keep me where they want me in life, and then they find I leave. And I'm perfectly fine leaving. So I'm perfectly fine leaving all this behind, personally. I'm good, man. I'm good. I've put nearly 700 videos in, if not 700. I haven't checked the numbers. I don't need to keep doing it, and like the books, I've got books in, they're already done nearly, I just need editing. But part of me thinks about unpublishing everything I've done already, let alone release more. So I'm in two minds about that. Going into next year, I feel within myself, I feel I've given to the world. The world just was never receptive. Maybe the average person who come across didn't appreciate, and not that they have to, but and there's a lot of people who don't even know who I am. But I'm not going to keep bashing my head against a wall. I feel like I've given enough to the world. It wasn't appreciated or, invested in, received very well. I don't know. So why would I continue doing it? I feel like I've given enough, and I feel like taking it all back, if I'm totally honest. So rather than keep investing in it anymore, I'm going to invest in myself. And at some point, I may take back what I have and say, I'm done, man. I've given it. I don't really care. I'll just take it away. And the world can just look up to these influencers who I consider absolute moronic, and these leaders who are absolutely corrupt. And that can be their influence. It's like, because it's not my responsibility. This is the point. And this isn't just a bigger audience. This is about like people in general in my life. It's not my responsibility to heal everyone. It's not my responsibility to take on the weight of other people's lives. My life is already tragic enough. I carry a lot on my shoulders every day. I just take less. I carry less. I just keep carrying less because I take the baggage of other people's shit away from me. Because although I can help with that situation and I can deal with that, it's like, wait, those situations and dealing with that are people who literally have not supported me, but they expect me to always solve their problems. So it's like, you know what? That's a you problem. You're going to have to figure that out, just like I've had to figure all my problems out. And if you'd been listening before, you would have got over that. But because you was either naive or really just indisciplined, you thought I'd always solve the problem for you. So you thought you can always take a step back and he'll always fix it. Now you're going to find, this isn't people on the internet, by the way. It's like people in my life. They'll have to figure it out for themselves now, because I'm not wasting my life in the footsteps and shadows of other people. So like I say, this is my last video of 2025. Whether I'm back in 2026 at this point, I have no interest. At this point, I have no interest. I have side projects though, so it doesn't mean I'll never be on camera. I've got my gaming channel. That's going to slow down. There's only a couple of games now I'm thinking of doing. I might stop with it a bit. There's some reading the books I want to do still. There's some really, really, really inconsequential social media channels I made. And again, I'm not someone who likes, I hate social media, but I do feel almost a responsibility to share with the world. And that's just my physical media collection. Only because sometimes I do something and I think that could help someone. And it's like, oh, nah. But then sometimes I think, it could. Because people are going down such a path where they're just influenced by others all the time in what I consider not a helpful, meaningful way. Like even just something as stupid, simple as like you sign up to a Netflix subscription. It's fine. Where everyone has subscriptions, you can have your preference ones. You don't need all of them. But you don't own anything. So as soon as the subscription ends, you have nothing. You have nothing to consume. So you're wholly attached to this platform. And that's so many areas of our life, of course, where you invest so much. If you lose it, what do you have left? It's worth thinking about. So what I like about Amazon, I prefer Prime. I'm actually finding the shows are getting better and better. Like even if it's just something I'm used to watching and it's good. I like the fact you can buy things on Prime. Now some people think you shouldn't have to buy it. I'm already subscribing. No, you're stuck on that subscription model mindset where you don't have to be on it all the time. So sometimes they do sales, and I buy TV shows. So let's say it's a TV series. I recently bought Family Ties with Michael J. Fox. I'm really enjoying it. In the past, I bought the whole King of Queens set. They're usually about £10, £15 a season, sometimes more. But sometimes they do sales for £5 a season, $4.99. It's nothing. And okay, maybe you buy the whole season and it's going to cost you between £30 and £50. Might seem a lot of money, mightn't it? But that's a one-off fee. I get to enjoy King of Queens back to back, like round and round and round and round. Never have to pay a penny again in my life. They just stream it to me for free because I already paid for it, which is mental because I think, how are they profiting from that if I'll keep watching it and I've paid for it? So there'd be someone always paying money every month and they say, I'm not paying to own it, but then every month they're paying their premiums, the price goes up. They may get adverts, they may get all these other things. I don't get adverts in the things I bought. So I paid £50 one time overall for that series. And I can watch it for as long as the service is available. And I don't have to pay the Prime fees. It doesn't reduce in quality because I already bought the HD version. So it'll always be HD and doesn't include adverts. And yet someone else will pay maybe £10 a month. You do that for 5 months. That would have paid for the TV show. Most people watch the same things over and over again when they watch services. I don't want to go too mad with that, but just that's how I work. So I'll buy myself physical media, which I like to share. I'll sometimes buy myself like licenses, like the things through Prime Video, where you buy the movies or buy TV shows. So I mix it up a bit. And like I said, recently I got Family Ties. You can't buy that on disc in the UK. If anything, I think maybe you can buy season 1. I don't even think you can do that. But you can't get this series. You can only get it on Prime Video. Paid £5 a season for that. So what are we at? £35-ish? I'm not doing exact maths there, but I think it's 35. That's not a lot for a whole series. And I can watch that on repeat. That's a lot of episodes, you know? So I think people should look at the way they consume content and the fees they're paying. I recently sold my iPod. I had an iPod Classic. Tough decision, but I sold that because I was getting fed up having 2 devices. You always carry your phone, but then I'm carrying this as well. This has got a dongle for Bluetooth. It's a whole cumbersome experience, even though it's nostalgic. And what I've done, sold that. And, you know, I still have the music subscriptions, but a lot of time I just jump on the free trials because I get sick and tired of it. It gets too expensive for what it is. Again, I listen to the same music a lot of the time. I'll make playlists and I'll listen to them repeatedly, really. I'll have multiple playlists that I like, and then I'll just listen to them for the most part. And yet I have most of that content on CDs and things in my home, which the CDs I've made digital copies as MP3 files on my computer. So why am I paying this service all the time? Because it's convenient. You can stream it through your Alexa, your Echo devices. There's that, but it's quite lazy. It's a lot of money all the time for something just so I can have an Echo device. You know, that's how we've got used to being programmed. So I recently got an app on my phone. It's free. There is a pro version. You don't need it, and it literally is. It's a bit like an iPod on your phone. So you put your own music. I've got about 8 GB of music now on my phone, and you open it up and you just play. So there's no fees. I don't pay. It sometimes pops up with an advert, but that's only if you you go through anything. So if you press play on anything, once you're playing a playlist or a song or whatever, an album, for my experience, it's never had an advert stop it. It's an image advert, you know. But if you're using the functions, yeah, an advert might pop up for a few seconds. But once you're listening to music, it doesn't do it. And there are other features where you can boost the bass, and you have to pay money for that. But they have an equalizer anyway, and I've just adjusted it in the equalizer, and I've got the bass, so it's free. But anyway, I've got a free app on my phone where I have my own music installed on my phone, and now I don't need Apple Music or Amazon Music. I don't really need them. But I mean, for instance, I know this is deviated a lot. I'm just showing before I go away. Really, it's just what I do. Like Amazon Prime has a music library anyway. I like Amazon Prime because it gives so much for what you get. I think it's ridiculous service. It's crazy. You get free games. You get books to borrow, digital books. You get movies. You get a discount on the cinema. Obviously, you get your deliveries. There's just a lot that I don't think, even cloud for your photos and things. That's crazy. A lot of people don't know all the services. They've not looked into the depth of it. And compared to Netflix, I think it's better. Like I prefer watching the TV. I'm so bored of Netflix and all the other ones. I'm happy with what I got. All the Disney stuff, for most part, or most of, I bought physical. I've got Blu-rays of most of the Disney stuff I need. You know, Pirates of the Caribbean, or the Pixar movies, the original Disney classics. You know, anything that I think really I need. Even The Walking Dead. I mean, that's over there, isn't it? But yeah, I've got what I need. So when people think of physical media as dying like a dinosaur, it's really not. It's preserving ownership. It's preserving control in our lives. So there's periods in my life where I don't have to hemorrhage money. I can just enjoy what I own. I think that's better, isn't it? So if the internet goes down, I've got a collection to watch. When the internet's up, I can still watch some of my digital content. But, if I'm on holiday, for instance, I don't have to worry about the music service going down, or have I got my Wi-Fi. All my music's on my phone. It's already there. I can just listen to it. It's there's no license attached to it. Anyway, look, I don't want to deviate too far. Probably got way off topic. That's effectively what's happening there. But I say I share my physical media content on TikTok through a different channel I created. Very small, very minor. But I don't mind. It's just I've only just started. And I'm not going to go mad with it because I get bored. I get fed up with social media. But I'll share it every now and again. I'll do something with a random film of my own or a bigger part of my collection. And I'm hoping it inspires other people to do similarly, because I actually have everything pretty much in terms of like most things you could have, in sense of I have vinyl record player, I've got a mini disc player, I've got cassette deck tape in my stereo, I've got CD, radio, which I don't like losing, I've got VHS tape, I've got obviously, if I've got Blu-ray, I've got DVD. So it's literally got everything from VHS and cassette through mini disc and CD and DVD to Blu-ray. And that's where I'm up to. I never liked the 4K discs. I actually had a couple. I've got 2 4K discs I don't like on Blu-ray 4K discs. I think they're too expensive. And me personally, I have to use on a games console, the PS5. The others I can use a Blu-ray. I've got a Blu-ray drive for my computer, an external one. So it's more versatile. And I recognize our TVs, for instance, they upscale anyway. So I don't see a massive difference personally on my setup with a 4K disc compared to a Blu-ray disc. Because Blu-ray's 1080p HD, 4K obviously it's 4K, but our tellies naturally upscale 1080p anyway. So I've not noticed a huge. Some people say audio depending on your setup, but I haven't found a reason for it, and the lack of versatility is a problem for me. So yeah, I only have 2. I returned some. Like I had the 4K Lord of the Rings box set. It looks cool. I love the way the box sets actually look better though. I will say that the actual design of the box covers and the way they're set out as premium. But it was like 50 quid for the. Sometimes it's dear, but I paid £50 for it. But I got the Lord of the Rings trilogy in Blu-ray for £15. So one's £50, one's £15, and yeah, I put them side by side, and I couldn't tell difference. And as genuinely, I couldn't. If I could tell a difference even a little bit, I wouldn't have bothered. I would have kept the premium one. But it did have the extended edition in the 4K disc, so it had different ones. It had the theatrical and extended editions. The Blu-ray only had the theatrical, but I have the extended in Ultra HD on Prime Video. Now I understand when we use streaming services, even Ultra HD isn't always comparable. But I consider Blu-ray similar to Ultra HD on. So Blu-ray, even though it's 1080p, for what I'm watching this in, is similar to 4K on streaming because the bitrate difference. Even then, I'd still say 4K. Blu-ray may even be superior. I'm not sure, but it's crazy. Anyway, I don't want to go too nuts there, but just trying to show people that these collections are not just for show; they're literally to consume. Me personally, I like to enjoy some films retro, like Home Alone. My daughter doesn't like it like this. She prefers to watch the DVD or stream it because it's higher definition quality. It's just a better quality of image. Again, even the DVD gets upscaled. But I like to watch the VHS tape. I literally watched it yesterday. Put the VHS in. I did a video for my channel, my TikTok channel, just to show the film. And then I sat and watched it for the whole period of it. And I just love it. It brings back memories to me. To connect the VCR, I have, because my telly doesn't have a SCART socket, so my VCR has a dongle thing I plug in. So HD, it goes SCART to the it's got a SCART attachment to this connector I've got, and then it exports it to HDMR, and then you can pick between 720p and 1080p. So of course I do 1080p. So it actually upscales a little bit, not massive, but it does a bit. It upscales it a bit to your TV. So I'm not watching it in really, really poor quality, because our tellies used to be smaller, didn't they? So that when the tellies were smaller back in the day, it condensed the picture, so it actually didn't look as bad. You stretch a bad picture and it gets terrible. So this just makes it a bit better and it's watchable. There are inherent problems with VHS in the fact that if you get a bad section of the tape, people probably forget this. The picture quality goes really bad. You can get lines. But more than that, the sound quality is terrible. It will start making all sorts of noises that is just unbearable. And you wouldn't have that on a disc or streaming. So there is a problem, but I like the rawness of the format. And like I say, I love watching Home Alone on VHS tape. And there's some that are actually rare that you can't get anywhere else. And that's why I like Prime, because sometimes something's so rare but Fortunately, Prime has it where you can buy it. So people might not like you can't stream it, but it's there. But also with the streaming services, you might find that, what I find, there's some people that aren't even aware of certain films because they're not available for free on the streaming services when you pay your subscription. The new generation don't know about them, and the previous generation just phased it out. They forgot all about it. And you might say a name to someone who did know about it, and they go, "Oh yeah, I forgot how good that is. Oh, I like that film." You'll never see it again because you're so stuck to this system. And yet, it's not even that expensive to own films and discs and TV shows. You can buy them used, you can buy them new. Even new, like a Blu-ray, is only about £8 if you go on Amazon and things. If you go used, you can get TV box sets for so cheap. Like you can get a TV box set for £5 and things, even used. It's crazy. So when I heard about Friends getting taken off of streaming for now while they do a licensing issue, it's like, why don't just buy the discs? Just buy them, or even on Amazon Prime, they're selling it the HD, the whole set on HD right now. Like it'll be gone soon for £50. So that's like £5 an episode, £5 a season. I mean, there's like 20 odd episodes a season, I think. So do the maths. It's cheap as shit, and it's what, 5 months of. If let's say someone only subscribes to services for Friends, and they're saying I'm not buying it, well, you're really hemorrhaging shitloads on Netflix or Amazon. You pay the £50 on Prime, you can then watch it forever. You don't have to pay it again. You'll never have to pay subscriptions again if that's all you watch. People are mad with the subscriptions, man, with the fees. I do it every now and again, but sometimes I'll take it off. But Prime is the one I have trouble losing because I like the deliveries. So I can buy things on Prime, and it's like, for me, it's all part of the price. So and you get music. You get a lot for Prime. I think it's the best value of all of them, personally. Netflix has stagnated for me. I'm bored of it. A lot of it's reality shows now, isn't it? And documentaries and shit. And it's like, oh, it's just toxic crap. I can't bother. Anyway, that's me done. I'm rambling. Well, I'm trying to educate to a point. It's my last video, so humour me. But I say, yeah, I can go deep levels either way. I can go deep levels on life in general, psychology. I can go deep levels in habits we have, our entertainment, and even spirituality, which I haven't covered in this video, but you find it in other areas of my content. But people don't seem to want to listen. So, I try my best to help people in various aspects of life, but you can only help people so far. And next year, I'm helping me. That's my focus. About time I'm happy,